Hi friends! Today we're talking about something super cool called pronoun.
Not interested, sir. Anyway, if you want to enjoy your day, here's a new recap for this amazing anime. I hope you enjoy it. That is Ryoma. He's a 39-year-old dude who had the misfortune of getting hired in a black company that worked him to the bone and exploited him day in and day out. One day, while sleeping in his bed, he fell on the ground and hit his head, causing several blood vessels to pop inside his brain and, well, he died from brain hemorrhage. Being a huge, jacked dude, his only regret was that he died in such a miserable way, even though he trained his head like a rock by tolerating all the beating his parents gave him since childhood, and even his boss, who broke a bottle on his head. Hey warriors, how is it going? You see me, I am Itachi Uchiha, the hidden Hokage of Leaf Village. Just kidding, you know I am just an AI, but behind this shape, I am here to entertain you with enormous amazing recaps of all animes you can imagine. So without talking too much, let's dive in our story.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world.
As you can see, dude had lost all his hope and dreams long ago after living such a harsh life. After his death, he meets up with three masters, namely Gain, the Master, Lusa, the Master of Love, and Kufo, the Master of Life. They tell him that they will be reincarnating him into an 8-year-old body that they have prepared in another world called Selfofal. They further elaborate that Earth has a lot of magic, while their other world is running out of it. So by sending him to Selfo, they will create a portal for the magical energy to flow from Earth and into Selfo by using these reincarnation spells. After giving him a thorough explanation with a cover story to tell everyone, they make him sign an NDA where he is supposed to keep this reincarnation a secret and not mention it to anyone under any circumstances. After that, they yeet his soul off into the other world and inside his new young body. From that point on, Ryoma wakes up in the body of an 8-year-old all alone in a forest, with a manual and some basic stuff in a bag prepared for him by the masters to get him started in his new life. From the manual, he learns about his beginning stats as well as different kinds of magic and spells. He's blessed with the ability to use all elements, but that makes it hard for him to become a master of any, and his base stats for strength are also pretty decent, with his mental resistances being the highest. He notes that he certainly kept his strengths from the previous life and then becomes excited about using magic for the first time. For his first experiment, Ryoma tames a slime to test out the taming spell, and he becomes really happy with the results. After that, he decides to live in the Ghana forest and research slimes as a hobby. Just like that, for the next 3 years, he lives in the forest, gathering more and more slimes of various kinds until there are 1,000 of them. They help him around the house with everything, from cleaning and healing to crafting and even cleaning his toilet. He gets to spend his life in peace, where he gathers materials in the day and occasionally gets to fight some beasts and bandits as well, but it's pretty chill for the most part. One day, while traveling through the forest, he sees a party of important-looking men calling out to their friend Hughes, who fell down after getting a bad wound from a beast. One of the companions says that he doesn't have enough magic left to heal him, and they worry about getting him back to the town as soon as possible. Just then, Ryoma comes out and tells them that he has some medicine that can help their injured friend. The healer takes the medicine, tests it, and then gives it to Hughes, easing his pain and putting him to sleep. After that, Ryoma offers them to rest at his home, and they all walk to the location with him. On their way, Ryoma tells them that there seems to be a wild beast in the area, and it might come back, so they should hurry. After that, he takes them to his house, which he hides with barrier magic. The men wonder if he's a hunter, and why such a little kid is living in the forest. They put Hughes on the bed and let him rest, and then wonder just who Ryoma is. Ryoma brings them a box of medicine and tells them to take it with them for their friend, and then offers them some cold water with ice. The men notice this and ask him if he can use ice magic and then ask his name. Ryoma introduces himself by giving his name, and the men's leader introduces himself back as Duke Reinhardt. After that, the rest of the men give their names as well and explain that they were ambushed by bandits on their way. They all fought them off quite easily, but then a black bear suddenly attacked them and Hughes got injured. That's when they met Ryoma. After that, Reinhardt asks Ryoma what he is doing there, how he can use multiple magic spells, and how he can even make potions. Ryoma goes with his cover story and explains that his grandparents were former adventurers, and they taught it all to him. He then says that they died 3 years ago and told him to go to a village, but as he's an outsider, no village accepted him, and so he has been living there in the forest all alone for the last 3 years. After that, they make Ryoma put his hand on a testing crystal that shows if a person is a criminal or not, as well as some basic information about them. Ryoma obliges and then goes to prepare dinner. Meanwhile, the men notice that Ryoma is actually just an 11-year-old kid with high-level pain-resistant skills. They wonder just what kind of hard life he has been living up until now and feel sad for him. They decide that they can't just leave him there. Reinhard says that he will head home, talk to his father and wife, and then see what he can do to help Ryoma. With that, they all wait for Hughes to recover and then head back to their town. The next day, Reinhard returns to meet Ryoma alongside his whole family and retainers. They all step forward and introduce themselves. There's Reinhard's father, Reinbach, his wife, the Duchess Elise, and his daughter, Ilaria. All of them marvel at Ryoma's family of thousands of slimes. Reinhard asks Ryoma if they have multiplied even more since he last saw them, and Ryoma says that they often split up and grow in numbers. Their daughter, Ilaria, asks how he fits all those in his house, and Ryoma says that the slimes have learned how to do that. He then goes on to show her 100 slimes of the same color start combining together and form a big slime that has the skill called minimize, which lets it shrink to the size of a single normal slime. Using that skill, he can fit all of the slimes in his house with great efficiency. Looking at that, her mother, Elise, walks up to Ryoma and asks how he managed to tame a big slime, as it has never been done in history. Ryoma reveals that they may look like one entity, but in reality, they have 100 cores. Taming all 100 at once is impossible, but in his case, he first tamed them all individually and then had them combine into a big slime. Elise and Reinhard's father become surprised at this revelation and tell Ryoma that he should register with the Tamer's Guild and present this to them as a scholar. After that, they all go inside and sit down with Ryoma to talk. At first, they give him a clock as a thank you gift for helping them the other day. Then Ilaria says that they are a family of tamers, and today they are there to help her tame her first familiar. For that, she wants to tame a slime, but can't choose which one. She then asks Ryoma about 2 rare types of slimes in his family that she has never seen before in any books. Ryoma explains that they are called the scavenger slime and the cleaner slime. The scavenger slimes can eat all kinds of garbage, while the cleaner slime specifically eats dirt and grime and doesn't harm anything else. Besides that, it can also clear all kinds of odors from the things that it cleans. Ilaria notes all this down and then says that she will tame a cleaner slime as her first familiar and asks Ryoma to guide her. Ryoma shows them the place to find lots of cleaner slimes and then tells her to use her bathwater as bait to lure cleaner slimes toward her. I'm not sure why a cleaner slime would have a bathwater fetish, but okay. Even Ryoma feels embarrassed sharing this information, but we can all count on good old Hughes to break it to everyone in the most direct way possible. With that, they all leave and return by sunset, with Ilaria successfully taming a cleaner slime of her own. After that, they all join Ryoma for tea in the afternoon and ask him if he has decided what he wants to do from here on out. Ryoma thinks about it a little and replies that he's still not sure whether he should stay in the forest or try moving out. He wonders if he would be able to fit in with other people after not having anyone to talk to for 3 years. Looking at him, Reinhard's father tells Ryoma that they are going on a trip to the mining town Gimmel and suggests that Ryoma should join them. This way, he can experience the world outside, and he's always free to come back if he wishes to. At first, Ryoma is reluctant in making his choice, but then Ilaria speaks up and helps him with some words of encouragement. She tells him that this was the first time she went on a journey as well. At first, she was scared, but in the end, it turned out to be a lot of fun, and she got to meet Ryoma and even tame her first slime. She tells him that he is bound to experience lots of new exciting things and meet new people if he decides to leave with them, and this makes Ryoma reconsider his choice. After hearing all that, Ryoma happily accepts the offer and starts packing his stuff in his dimensional box spell. Hearing that he can use such a spell, the Reinhard family becomes surprised with his talent yet again, and Elise offers him to ask her about magic anytime he wants. With all his packing done, the next day, they all arrive to pick Ryoma up. Their butler, Sebas, uses his intermediate spell, Dimensional Home, to pull out horses and carriages from inside, and they all begin their journey towards Gimmel. One day, while on their way, the carriage suddenly stops. Reinhard goes out to check with his retainers, and they find out that there was a landslide due to the heavy rain, and it blocked their path completely. As there is fear of bandits attacking them in the area, they decide to work on clearing the path instead of going back and taking the longer route. Ryoma decides to help as well, and takes out a special raincoat made from a sticky slime's fiber. The previous Duke notes that Ryoma is full of surprises, and they had never thought about using the fiber in that way. After that, Ryoma jumps down, goes to Reinhard, and shows them a smart combine magic that allows him to make solid tiles out of the debris blocking the road. After that, he stacks all the tiles up using his slimes, and they clear the road pretty quickly. Everyone commends Ryoma for his smart and innovative approach towards using magic, and then they all continue on their journey. 3 days later, they arrive in Gimmel, and Ryoma notes that this is the first town he has ever visited after reincarnating into this world 3 years ago. He explains that he will be living with the Reinhard family for the time being, and one of the primary goals of this trip was for the Duke to check the mines and see which ones to keep working on and which ones to shut down. After settling in, they all go to the church to get Ryoma his status plate. The status plate acts as an identity card, which shows a person's skills and abilities besides their personal information. Ryoma walks inside the appraisal room and places his hand on the crystal ball, which calculates his stats and puts it on the plate. But suddenly, Ryoma sees a bright light and his mind is transferred to the realm of masters. He gets to meet the three masters once again, and they tell Ryoma how happy they are to see him enjoy his life. Gain tells him that Ryoma actually accidentally invented the cleaner and scavenger slimes after exposing them to their elements. After that, they tell him about Reinhardt's family's history and reveal that one of their ancestors married a transferee from Earth just like himself, and they wanted to become a tamer. They went on to do many great things, including the establishment of the Taming School of Magic, and the Reinhardt family has had their individual blessings since. They also tell him that their daughter, Ilaria, has inherited a lot of traits from her ancestors, including another transferee from her mother's side, who was a typical otaku and reincarnated with a lot of combat ability. They then tell him that the next time, he might be able to meet the other masters as well, as they have begun to take interest in his new life. With that, Ryoma's time with the master starts to run out. After that, Ryoma comes back to his senses and goes out to meet with the others. When he walks out, Reinhardt's father tells him that he has exceptional talent for someone his age, and to protect him from evil eyes, he suggests that Ryoma register with the Tamers Guild and rise to a high rank to make a standing for himself. Ilaria wonders what Ryoma's magic capacity is, and he reveals that it is 198,000. Ilaria tells him that her capacity is 2,000, and says that even though Ryoma has such a high magic capacity, he is able to control his magic pretty well. On the other hand, she can barely use any magic proficiently. Sabas explains that it is one of the side effects of having a high magic capacity, that the person can't control their magic very well. However, Ryoma has shown exceptional talent in that regard as well. Ilaria asks how he learned to control his magic, and he explains that he practiced it by playing with magic and that he will teach her the next time they go out to train. After that, they go to the Tamers Guild and get Ryoma registered, but there, they find out that the guild measures one's capabilities by the power of the beast they control, and given that Ryoma has only ever tamed slimes, he doesn't have much room to rank up. But with that, they all decide to go to the Adventurers Guild because they rank a person based on their survival skills and capabilities, not their familiars. At the guild, Ryoma takes the entrance exam and passes it with flying colors. He registers as an archer and accurately shoots down all 5 targets in round 1 with ease. After that, he swiftly takes down all 50 moving targets in round 2 with great precision. While all of them celebrate his talent, the instructor throws a knife at Ryoma from behind. However, Ryoma senses it just in time and tosses it back at him. After that, he summons an earth needle, jumps up, and attacks the instructor back. But just then, the instructor stops him and reveals that it was a small test he does to alert archers, as they are vulnerable to such assassination attempts from their blind spots. He then compliments Ryoma, saying he is the first one to hit the adult knife back at him and even try to counterattack. After that, he introduces himself as the guild master, Worgen, and Ryoma wonders why the guild master was taking his test personally. Hearing that, Worgen replies that he doesn't know what his deal is, but for some reason the Duke and his whole family came to watch his entrance exam, so he had to do it personally. After that, he registers him into the guild as a G-rank adventurer. He tells him that he could have made him start at E-rank, but he was worried about other members seeing it as favoritism, so he wants Ryoma to rise up the ranks on his own and prove his skills to everyone. Ryoma agrees and then goes down to the job board to pick a G-rank quest. Most of these missions include minor jobs like picking up trash, cleaning houses, finding lost things, and so on and so forth. Ryoma decides to take the job to clean a house, as he can use his slimes to do all the cleaning. The next day, he takes his scavenger and cleaner slimes alongside him and goes to the client's house, which is next to a garbage dump. He arrives at the client's house and rings the bell. From within, a cat girl comes out, asking him if he's there to clean the mess up. She then starts hugging him with tears in her eyes, saying how she had almost given up all hope of being able to get her house clean once again. She introduces herself as a fellow adventurer by the name of Mia, and explains that the land beneath the trash dump beside her house was unstable. One day, heaps of trash started breaking through her basement's wall and kept piling up inside. Soon it became so much that no one could manage it, and she was left devastated with a basement full of literal garbage. Ryoma decides to start the job with the trash dump itself. He uses his scavenger slimes, making them eat all the garbage in minutes. After that, he repeats the process in her basement to get rid of all the trash and uses his water magic mist wash to wet the whole room. After that, he lets his cleaner slimes do all the cleaning. Finally, he fills up the hole in the wall by using the same magic he used to clear the landslide debris on their way. Create block. He makes bricks out of the debris and then uses the sticky solution from the green slimes as concrete. Just like that, he finishes the whole job in a few hours. powers. Mia comes down and wonders how Ryoma managed to do such a good job. She marvels at his fast service and exceptional skills, thanks him a lot, and even gives him a bonus in his reward for the job. Ryoma returns to the guild and collects his bag of gold. The receptionist notes how Ryoma did an amazing job, as no one else would take it because of the sheer volume of trash in the house. After that, the guildmaster calls him into his office and compliments him for doing a great job on his first mission. He then tells him about another such mission that needs his exceptional service and starts explaining about the communal toilet problem. He explains that normally this job was assigned to the people in the slums. However, as the iron mine has been producing less and less ore in recent years, the government decided to make some budget cuts. The first thing they hit was the community management cost by cutting the pay of the people in the slums, making a biased excuse that they didn't work hard enough. He then says that due to negligence for so long, the pits in the communal toilets have filled up, and no one wants to take the job of cleaning them due to the sheer volume of filth and the horrendous smell coming from the pits. Ryoma sympathizes with the situation and agrees to take the job. He then says that he will discuss the issue with the Duke and see if he can do anything about the situation. After that, he goes back home and tells Reinhard and his family about everything. Reinhard's father notes that there must be some corruption going on and becomes really angry. Elise notes that during his time as the Duke, Reinbach made reforms to the community management department and allocated funds for these tasks to provide working opportunities for the people in the slum, but now they are ruining all his efforts by doing these corruptions. They thank Ryoma for sharing this information and go on to look into the matter. With that, Ryoma takes his slimes and goes to the pits in the communal toilets. There are 30 of them in total, each several meters wide. He notes that it's going to be a long day and prepares his army of turd eaters and perverted cleaners. He wears a special waterproof cleaning suit as well to keep himself safe. With that, he leads them straight into the pits, and they start. They do their usual routine with the scavenger and cleaner slimes and get the place sparkling. Ryoma also uses his lightning magic to disinfect the place to stop the spread of any disease. After eating so much, the scavenger and cleaner slimes start to evolve and grow stronger. Ryoma notices that they gain miasma resistance, which means that the pits were filled with piled up evil magic. I mean, it's no wonder, right? The place is literally full of nasty stuff. He rushes back to the guild and reports to everyone about the miasma. Everyone is worried for his safety, and he feels blessed to have people who care for him. He then requests the guild master to let him do the job and to see that no one enters the communal toilets until he's done. The next day, the guildmaster assigns a whole bunch of adventurers to guard duty, and they let Ryoma take care of all the remaining pits. Ryoma gives his best and works continuously for days on end until midnight, eventually finishing the job as soon as he can. After that, he walks back home, and on his way, he thinks back on his previous life, where working till midnight was the norm, and he was exploited crazily by his company. He remembers how his mother would always greet him back home, but when she died, he felt an empty hole forming in his heart that never got filled. Slowly, over time, he became less and less sociable and had trouble making new friends and forming any meaningful bonds. Life had started to look gray, and he had lost all his hopes. With sad eyes and a tired body, he makes it back home, and to his surprise, the whole Reinhard family is standing there inside to welcome him back. They ask him if he's fine, take his luggage off, and prepare a bath and dinner for him. Being treated like this, he feels extremely blessed for having this life and starts crying as Elise hugs him, reminding him of his mother. The next day, Ryoma wakes up to a breakfast made by the young lady. While taking their breakfast, Ilaria asks Ryoma for a favor, to help her train her magic spells. Ryoma remembers his promise from earlier and agrees to teach her. He then turns to Camus, Sebas, and Elise and asks them to teach him some advanced spells as well. They all happily agree and proceed to finish their breakfasts. After that, they all head out to the training grounds, and Ryoma helps Ilaria practice her fire, ice, and water magic with various games, such as creating a sparkler firework, making bubbles with her hands, and even playing volleyball with them. He also shows her how to add water to the bubbles and use her magic to float them in the air and shape-shift them into various objects. After showing her everything, he lets her practice on her own, and goes to Camus to learn some attack spells himself. Camus teaches him various offensive spells like Fire Arrow, Water Shots, Wind Hammer, Rock Bullet, Ice Arrow, Stun Arrow, and some defensive spells in those elements as well. After that, Sebas takes up the mantle and teaches Ryoma some complex spells like Dimension Home and Warp. By the end of the day, Ryoma manages to learn all of them. The following day, they go to the mines for inspection, as well as for Ilaria to get some on-site experience as an adventurer. On their way, Ilaria tells Ryoma that after this trip, she will be going to the royal capital to attend school there. Ryoma wonders how she will be gone soon and becomes a little sad. Then, they reach the mines. They split up into two groups, with some retainers and the kids in one group and the other elders in the other. During their inspection, they encounter a huge cave mantis. Hughes explains that they usually live in colonies and multiply rapidly. This means that if they see one, they can expect 30 more to be nearby as well. For this first one, they let Ilaria take care of it in a one-on-one battle, and she defeats it by using a couple of ice arrows. After that, Ryoma gets to face a group of 4 cave mantises, and he goes on to utterly butcher them like a cool dual knives wielding brawler. He uses physical hardening to enhance his defense and then swiftly cuts off all the bugs. After his fight, they continue to explore the caves and confirm the infestation of the cave mantises. With all that done, they decide to call it a day and head back. But then, Alaria notices a rare metal slime in the distance. She rushes towards it and traps it with a couple of ice walls before picking it up. She brings it to Ryoma and offers the metallic blob to him as a thank you gift for teaching her how to play and practice with her magic. Ryoma forms a contract with the metal slime, and with that, their inspection comes to an end. They go out to meet with the rest of the Reinhard family outside. Reinhard reports that their mineshaft had a cave bat infestation, and he notes it all down to put up a quest in the Adventurers Guild for them to deal with the monsters in the caves. While standing there, Ryoma wonders what his metal slime eats. Then, he notices that the dirt beneath them is red in color and wonders if it's full of oxidized iron. He then uses his alchemy magic to extract iron filings from the dirt, and then uses the combination and consolidation spells to form them into a shining bar of pure solid iron. Reinhard's father commends Ryoma for yet another innovative use of magic, and then remembers that he wanted to introduce him to the owner of the Morgan Trading Company, Serge Morgan. After that, they all go to the Morgan Trading Company, and Ryoma shows Serge all his unique products, including the waterproof cloth, the iron bar, and the green slime string. They form a profit-sharing contract where Serge will sell these items for Ryoma, and Reinhard insists that all profits go to him and not to their family. Ryoma feels grateful and thanks everyone for their help and generosity, and they all call it a day. The next day, the guild's grandmaster informs Ryoma and the other adventurers that the corrupt people behind the communal toilet incident were arrested thanks to Duke Reinhard's efforts. He then reveals that their next mission is to rid the mines of the monster infestation and that they will be starting the next morning. The next day, Ryoma starts his day by conducting some experiments on his metal slime to see its properties. It appears to be resistant to physical attacks, poison, and even sticky solutions, but it fears acidic solutions. Ryoma notes that it must be because it is vulnerable to acidic corrosion. After that, Ryoma meets up with the other adventurers, and they all head for the mines to begin their mission. Outside the mine shaft, the guildmaster forms the teams and explains to everyone the kinds of monsters they can expect to encounter inside. Ryoma joins up with a group of rank B adventurers, including Jeff, Mia, and some other beast folk. On their way, Ryoma reveals that he is now an F-rank adventurer after the pit cleaning job, and Jeff says that he might rank up to E after the cave beast extermination mission if he does a good job. After that, Mia asks Ryoma how many slimes he has, and he reveals that he has 728 sticky slimes, 323 poison slimes, 21 acid slimes, 33 scavenger slimes, 11 cleaner slimes, 2 healing slimes, 1 metal slime, 1 ordinary slime, making up a total of 1,431 slimes in his family. They all commend him for being able to tame so many slimes, and then Walana asks him about the kinds of weapons he can use. Ryoma explains that he normally uses a bow and arrows, but he can also fight with daggers or unarmed, and he also knows some attack spells. Hearing this, Walana asks him if he can support them by focusing on the flying monsters with his attack spells, as he's the only one on the team who can do that. Ryoma agrees, and just then, they run into a group of cave mantises. However, this fight ends as soon as it starts, as the cave insects are no match for a bunch of B-rank adventurers and a Pokemon trainer with a slime fetish. After that, they all decide to move forward, and Walana notices a colony of cave bats hanging from the ceiling of the cave up ahead. They all wonder if there is a way to deal with their massive numbers in a short time, and Ryoma asks them to let him conduct an experiment. He first covers them all with a soundproof barrier using his magic, and then uses the sound bomb spell to knock all the bats down in one go. He then commands his green sticky slimes to unjoin and lets them feast on the massive pile of cave bats. After clearing their cave, they all walk out and notice a big crowd by the mission board. Worgen and his assistant call for everyone to gather around and reveal that one of their parties encountered a pack of goblins deep in the mines. Based on their info, there's a big goblin village in the center of the mines with at least 500 goblins in it. They plan to station parties of adventurers at all possible escape routes to surround the goblins and then ambush them to annihilate them completely. After that, Ryoma and his group join up with the other adventurers, and they all invade the goblin village. Mia and Celia begin the invasion by luring the goblins out and making them chase after them. They lead the dumb monsters monsters into a pool of acid prepared by Ryoma and start culling their numbers down with the help of other adventurers as well. At first, they all seem to have the lead, but then they find out that the number of goblins is twice as much as they had expected. It looks like a never-ending stream of them, and the archers start running out of arrows to shoot. When things start to look bad, Ryoma comes in clutch and shows everyone the power of his army of slimes. He sends the healing slimes off to help recover the injured adventurers, while his absurd number of scavenger slimes help collect arrows and assist the archers. Meanwhile, he leads off with a swarm of slimes, paralyzes a bunch of goblins with his sound bomb attack, and then beats them all down with his earth needles and slimes. Everyone marvels at Ryoma's strength and potential as a one-man army raid boss. They thank him for his help, and the mission looks like a success. Worgan notes that there must be around 2,000 goblins, and that they can all expect a big payout after this mission. But just then, as everyone is celebrating their victory over the goblins, their leader, a goblin commander, emerges from inside the cave alongside a unit of hobgoblins. However, Ryoma doesn't even give them a chance to attack. He gathers all his slimes, and they crash into them like a tsunami wave, defeating all of them. But with their mission accomplished, Ryoma asks everyone to gather around and lets his cleaner slimes eat up all the goblin grime off his fellow adventurers' gear. This surprises everyone, as goblin grime is one of the hardest things to clean up. Mia notes that Ryoma could make a fortune in the laundry business with his slimes, and this idea sticks with him deep inside. After that, they all go out, and Lean tells Ryoma that his healing slimes have evolved and are now able to use high heal as well. Soon, all the other adventurers gather around Ryoma and thank him for his help. Everyone notes that he has made a place for himself in the Adventurers Guild, and they all head back home together. Ryoma tells the Reinhard family about everything, and then says that he has decided to move out and separate himself from them, as he wants to be able to bear his own burden and support himself on his own. They all discuss the idea, and Ryoma explains that since their arrival in this town, they have all been really good to him and have helped him in many ways. But as much as he appreciates that, he feels like he's being spoiled, and that's why he wants to take a step back and work on building his own worth. They all listen to him, and the elders agreed to let him leave, but only if he promises to accept a few generous conditions. He must inform them about his condition daily by writing them letters. He must occasionally pay them a visit to show them that he is doing well. He must not hesitate to ask for their help if anything comes up. Ryoma feels blessed to have met such nice people who care for him. Then, Ilaria refers to him and adds a condition of her own as well. She makes Ryoma promise to meet her after 3 and 6 years during her mid-session break and graduation from the Royal Academy. Ryoma makes the promise with her and says that they will meet up and show each other how much they have grown in that time. At last, Elise says that until they are in that town, Ryoma will stay at their inn, and this is not up for debate. Ryoma wonders if that can even be considered separating from them and being independent, and then asks them how long they will be staying in the town. Reinbach and Elise explain that they will be there until the grill frogs outbreak. These frogs are hunted for their hide as armor and their organs as ingredients for various medicines. But their real target is the limmer birds that come to hunt them every year, and they would like for Ilaria to tame some of them. They also invite Ryoma to come along when the time comes and see if he can tame one as well. After that, Reinhard asks Ryoma what he meant by separating and living on his own. Ryoma explains that he would like to start off by living as an adventurer in this town, and then eventually start a laundry business of his own, using his cleaner slimes, advertising them as a way to get rid of goblin grime. They all seem happy with his idea, and Reinbach suggests that Ryoma share this idea with Serge. Reinhard also adds in a request and says that in between his missions and business, when Ryoma gets time, it would be great if he can keep an eye on the mines and make sure that the caves don't get infested with new monsters again. The next day, Ryoma goes to Serge from the Morgan Trading Company alongside Ilaria and discusses the idea with him. Serge, being a great merchant, sees the potential in Ryoma's business plan and says that he would like to support him fully. He suggests that Ryoma register with the Merchants Guild, as it will help his business grow a lot with their support. With that, they all ride to the Merchants Guild, and Serge introduces him to the old guild master, Glakella. Ryoma shows her his cleaner slimes and demonstrates how his business will work, and Glakella commends him for his smarts as well. She gets him registered with the guild and then sends him off to see a cheap plot of land on the main road for his shop. They all go to see the place and find a burnt building. Serge reveals that there used to be a bar, an inn, and a warehouse here, but then a fire broke out and took everything under. Ryoma notes that the location is ideal for his laundry business, as it's in the residential area and is close to the Adventurers Guild as well. Serge helps him prepare all the paperwork and then offers to loan him his own managerial employees and some materials to get started. After acquiring the land, Ryoma starts working on constructing his shop with the help of his slimes and his economy-disturbing building magic. He gets rid of the overgrown weeds with the help of his scavenger slimes and melts the old building away with his acid slimes. He uses the create block spell to dig up a hole and uses the materials to create bricks, then assembles them with the help of his sticky slimes. And just like that, in a single day, he sets up a 2-story high building with a basement, as well as a separate dormitory for his employees. After that, he has its interior and exterior painted and decorated with tiles with the help of his adventurer friends. With that, Ryoma opens his first laundry shop in Gimel and names it the Bamboo Forest Laundry Service, which is a play on his last name, Takabayashi, which means bamboo forest. After the main shop's construction is finished, Ilaria notes that the area surrounding the shop looks too empty and lifeless, and suggests that they plant some grass and flowers there. Ryoma agrees, and they all get to it. While working on that, Ilaria asks if Ryoma isn't tired from working so much, and he replies that it's nothing compared to his old job. We then find out that in his previous life, he used to create anime action figures, and I'm sure Ludwig would like to talk to him about that. After that, he plans to hold an opening ceremony for his shop, and discusses the idea with Ilaria and Hughes. On their way back, he makes a stop at the church and gets to talk to Kufo, as the other two masters are on vacation on Earth. Kufo tells Ryoma that his mind is being affected by his young body and that it's totally fine, but he should make sure not to overwork like in his previous life. Ryoma takes note of his advice and then goes back home with great ideas in his head for the opening ceremony. To all Leaf Village ninjas, that is it for today. Recap, do not forget to join our clan, our army, my friend. You can do that by clicking that red button below the video, destroy it for me with that bell. To follow us in YouTube with many videos to come in the following days. So see you later, bro. Peace out.